Gets the white. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome along to another edition here of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. We are back. It's been a long time since the whole entire crew are all in for an episode. Nick is here, DJ is here, Luke and Henrik. We are all back for a review of the draft class for the Patriots of this year. We are also going to talk a little bit more about the up-and-coming 2023 schedule. And we will have a little bit of a chat about the game happening in Germany in Frankfurt. First of all, let's speak to our main guys. Nick, DJ, good to see you guys. How have you been so far?
Surviving.
Yep, feels good to be back. Get another episode in.
Over on the far side, we've also got Henrik as well. Henrik, good to see you, sir. How have you been?
On mute.
Can't wait for the NFL season to get started just now. So I'm looking forward to watching the Patriots play.
That's good stuff, mate. And then down below me, we have got from Leprechaun Country, we have Joe Lysett. No, sorry, I mean Luke O'Brien from Dublin.
Right.
Wow.
The only insult there to me was Dublin, to be honest. But no, that's what we call it. We call them, people from Dublin, West Brits. So, yeah.
It's good to see you, mate. Anyway, okay, gentlemen. So the draft class was like nearly 3 weeks ago now, but we need to dissect to see who it is we've picked. We go straight into round one. Christian Gonzalez. Now we were pick 14, traded with the Pittsburgh Steelers to drop to 17. We got their 120th pick in due course, which we'll go into later on. And all of the experts turned around and said Christian Gonzalez should not have fallen that far down the board. Fell to us at 17. Nick, what was your first reaction to this? Because at the time, there looked like there was a lot of options. We could have gone corner, could have gone tackle, could have gone receiver. We were playing with house money on this pick. So what was your take on picking Christian Gonzalez, the defensive back out of Oregon?
I think I owe Bill Belichick an apology, I think, because we as a podcast have been slating GM Bill for being useless. And while there may be some evidence of that, he played a blinder. He traded with the Steelers, knowing that the Steelers wanted an offensive tackle, and traded them so that they could get in front of the Jets, just so that they could trade the guy that the Jets wanted. You know, pick the guy that the Jets wanted. So not only is he trading down for extra draft capital, he's screwing the Jets at the same time, and he's getting what most people believed was the best corner on the market. There was a risk that maybe the Commanders could have taken him, but every draft board you read, whether it be Jeremiah, Mel Kiper, they were all predicting either Joey Porter or the guy that went there, Emmanuel Forbes. So, you know, I don't think Bill was too worried. I think Bill knew that Gonzalez was always going to be there. And like with Will Levis, obviously once Gonzalez got past, say, 10, I don't think there was going to be many teams in the top sort of 20 that were going to pick him. It was one of, and Levis was the same. As soon as he dropped out of sort of 5, 6, he was never going to get picked early. So I think Bill recognised the chance to pick up some extra capital, and that's what Belichick does. Belichick always trades down. You know, I can't remember the last draft he didn't trade down. So I'm good for it. I mean, my mock draft was crap. I did pretty poorly in that, but you know, I cannot fault the pick. Gonzalez, you look at some of his training videos, and I cannot fault the pick. It's, you know, well done. Delighted.
DJ, what have you got to say to that?
Yeah, just to follow on what Nick said, really I think we started to see Gonzalez fall down the board, and when we got to 14, I reckon Bill said, right, I reckon Steelers and Packers are probably not going to go for a cornerback. So I reckon he opted out to make that trade. The one thing I would say about Gonzalez is he probably was between him and Porter. I'm guessing they was probably the best cornerbacks on the paper versus to what the ability that they had. It does remind me of a Belichick player, as in style of I'd like to say a Gilmore. It's very like to Gilmore. The only downfall I did see in Gonzalez was he's not the best at tackling. So if he was to go and blitz, he's not the best at tackling. He's more of like a man-to-man swat your ball type of player. That's the only kind of like downfall I had from Gonzalez. But yeah, like Nick said, it was a great play by us, great pick. I felt we did the right thing there at 14, trade down to 17, and I reckon we probably had that player in mind from day one, knowing that he came from Oregon, and we've recently picked up that offensive line coach from Oregon as well. So I no doubt he had some kind of say or word input into it. So yeah, I like I said for that round one pick, I think spot on from us.
Luke, any issues regarding of this pick for Gonzalez at all?
I keep it short and sweet. Absolutely none. It was the best. He was the best player on the board. At 14, he was still the best player on the board. He was obviously going to be the best player on the board at 17 too. Brilliant pick. Can't fault him. It'd be, my feelings on Belichick's picks over the last 10 years, probably at this point. This on paper, we'll see how he obviously plays. It could be a misstep in the future, but he stuck. He didn't go off board. He didn't draft a guard, a Cole Strange. As long as we didn't draft another guard in the first round, I was going to be happy with whatever we got because we kind of needed everything anyway. But I felt we really needed a corner, and we got, I think, probably the best. I think maybe the best corner anyway. There, and that's not me being a homer. That's just that's who I wanted.
For me. Yeah. For me, it was him or Joey Porter Jr. That was the best corners in this draft. I know Witherspoon went 5th overall, but I feel like it was a bit of a
some of these guys' size.
Yeah,
especially Forbes. Forbes is 165 pounds soaking wet. Like, I mean, what you do is you go and you run stretches to his side and see if he can tackle. I mean, he's supposed to be able to tackle, all right, but I don't know if you run Derrick Henry over his side of the field, like he's got 100 pounds in him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Henrik, what was your take on this?
My take was cornerback was the Patriots' number one need. We drafted the best quarterback, the cornerback with the best potential. He's only 20 years old. I would have ranked him number one, and then Devon Witherspoon, who's 23, and then Joey Porter Jr. probably, and then Emmanuel Forbes, just because of the fact that he's very skinny. That concerns me a lot. If he was to put on 10, 20 pounds, that's going to take away what he's very good at, speed. So I typical of the Washington Commanders to draft a player like that at 16 when they have the best corner available. Typical of them. So I'm ecstatic that we drafted Gonzalez. I pretty much agree with all of you. And, the fact that he's 20 years old, he can play for a long time in the NFL. About the tackling, I'm sure the way the Patriots coach and trains, he's going to become a better tackler. So it doesn't concern me. I'm very ecstatic about this pick. It was a need, And for once, I feel like we got one of the best players in the draft. That's just awesome for the Patriots.
Yeah, just a few little bit of detail on Christian Gonzalez. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He ran a sub 4.4, very rangy. I say he's a very, very good fluid mover. NFL Network said that he has the traits of being another Marshawn Lattimore, the defensive back from the Saints, which, to be honest, I won't scoff at. I won't shake my head at, because Lattimore is a very, very good defensive back. You can see what he does when he has one-on-one matchups with Mike Evans twice a season. So, we've got a very, very good play, a very, very good corner here. He's very silky smooth. He's also very scheme versatile. So he has the top end cover talent to project him shadowing elite receivers. And as I don't know who it was, but someone mentioned Stephon Gilmore. You're also looking at the days going back to a secondary where you had Gilmore, Revis, and even Hall of Famer Ty Law. We're looking at that kind of trajectory regarding of Christian Gonzalez. I was delighted when we took him. Would I have liked to get a receiver? Yeah, because I still don't think we have the talent around Mac Jones, but he was there for the taking, and Bill played an absolute blinder. Right, moving into the second round. So with the 46th overall pick, we took another defensive player, defensive end Keon White out of Georgia Tech. Luke, we'll start with you. What do you make of the second round pick that we took of Keon White?
I'm happy with the position, maybe not so much the player, but okay. I'm going to fully withhold judgment on him. I'm kind of like, look, if we are looking to play, we'll say like a 3-man front, we'll say with Wise, White, and maybe Barmore, or maybe Davis, we'll say, as your nose tackle, because if you're playing guys that size and you're playing 3 down linemen, if that's what they're planning to do, I think it's a good pick. He's not a speed guy. He'll set the edge for you. He's not going to allow any runs to his side. He's going to be really good at setting the edge. Bill likes that. We know that if he's taking an edge player, it's not going to be this 220 or 230 pound rusher coming off the edge, because he knows that's exactly what will happen. When we had Chandler Jones, you just run to his side every time, because that was his downfall here, because they want their ends to set the edge, and this guy will be able to set the edge. Will he be able to get pressure on the quarterback? From the highlights I've watched, he doesn't really. He has the ability to bull rush, but he doesn't really do a whole lot. I seen him get stopped a few times, but I think in terms of like, is that going to be what we're asking him to do? He's going to me, he's the body and size of Dietrich Wise, and I think it could be a Dietrich Wise replacement. I think he's probably got 1, maybe 2 years left in his deal, Wise. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with it. I'm going to withhold full judgment. I'm going to say, look, I'm happy with the position. He was a projected late first rounder, early second rounder. Again, player that was in the area that was where he was supposed to be picked. Not going to complain about it. Going to trust him with this one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he needs to develop a pass rush toolbox. So building off his effective long arm ball rush, really. I think this is where defensive line coach DeMarcus Covington and skill coach Joe Kim go to work regarding of this, because if he can develop effective counters, then he can translate the disruptive reps into productive ones. I think we're going to see White likely play with his hand in the dirt as a 3-4 defensive end, with the ability to kick further inside on passing downs, possibly. Henrik, what was your take on drafting Keon White?
Yeah, I agree with both you and Luke. I think what Luke is saying is we should be a bit cautious. He's a bit cautious about Keon White, and I feel pretty much the same, Luke. On one hand, we might have gotten lucky because some projected him to go into the first round, that's the case, we might have gotten ourselves a good football player. I'm looking at the potential. I think potentially he could be one of these Dominic Easley, Malcolm Brown that the Patriots have drafted in earlier drafts, who just haven't panned out. On the other hand, he can be a contributor. He can be someone who might start, who might play three downs, and if he is that, this is gonna be a very good draft pick. So that's kind of what I'm expecting him this first year. I want to see him be part of the team, contribute, and hopefully make some plays. Because this one, it can remind me of Dominic Easley, and he never contributed to the Patriots and was a bad pick by the Patriots. But yeah, on paper, I think he looks all right. I was not disappointed when we drafted him, but this is a kind of draft pick where it's show me what you got, basically. And I'm hopeful, but I'm also wary, a bit cautious about Keon White.
DJ, what about your sound, Keon White?
Yeah, I'm very similar to what has been mentioned already. He definitely was projected to go. I think I'd say late one, early two. Did we make a reach for him based on the position? I reckon there was other players out there that we will probably needed better than White. Like Luke was touching on there, I can't see him. I don't see him as a starter. I don't see him making that edge any better now. Down the line, a couple of years down the line, possibly. Like if he learns, he gets a couple of years down off his belt. I reckon he'll redshirt this year. To be honest, he'll sit back, learn. I don't see him starting. No,
Yeah, that would be a problem for me. He's a second round pick, and second round picks should not be redshirted. I am aware that that's kind of how Bill Belichick and the Patriots like to do things.
Yeah.
But that
Unless
would
you're a
be-
running, unless you're a running back, when it's a
Running
different
back.
story.
Third down running back only.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Damien Harris, he was redshirted pretty much, but Ramondre Stevenson wasn't. But I don't like high draft picks not contributing either because of injury or redshirted. To me, it's almost always a bad sign. I mean, maybe not with Damien Harris, but it doesn't make me believe here we're going to get a Pro Bowl player. And I'm not saying I want need these guys to be Pro Bowl player, but I want to see something, because what does that tell you about them if they're not good enough to play in the NFL their first year? That's
I'd like to think he can compete with Wise, but you got the likes of Judon there as well, and Uche. Is Jennings classed as an edge as well? He's been there a few years now.
Small.
He seems to start off, but then kind of like dies out. So I like to think that should be able to compete, but I don't see it in year one. To be honest, I don't see it this year. Possibly next year. They'll make a decision if they're going to carry on with Wise or not. The other lad that I was thinking about as well is Lawrence Guy. Is he classed as an edge?
No, I think he's defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle, yeah. He's interior. Like White is 270, I think 280 pounds.
Yeah.
Guy is 315.
Yeah.
So they're different positions. Yeah, to me, he's kind of he's kind of, well, he's not the size of Richard Seymour, but Richard Seymour was also 6'7" and 300 pounds, so he had that extra few inches extra weight, maybe not 15 pounds extra weight, but you know what I mean.
I mean, like you say, he will set the edge, like Luke said. He's definitely that type of player. My thingy was his reaction when he got drafted. It didn't go down as one he wanted to be picked of the Patriot, but apparently that's just the way he is, just calm and collective lad. He just doesn't show any emotion whatsoever.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that much stock into that, to be honest. And it's all about the timing when the the producers starts filming. We don't know exactly what the context is, so I wouldn't put
I think he
any
wanted to
stock.
go first round, to be honest. But
That makes sense. Him and Will Lewis.
yeah,
Nick, what's your thoughts on this pick?
The DJ just said it. I was going to talk about his reaction, but apparently his reaction was taken a pick earlier. So what we saw was him reacting to the pick before him. So he wasn't even reacting to the Patriots picking him when you saw him on screen. It was a misleading footage, to be
media.
fair.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that he looked like he was miserable and didn't want to be picked by the Patriots is very unfair on him to have that cast on him. What I found interesting, and I didn't realise this until we actually picked him, that he used to be a tight end. He was a tight end out of Old Dominion, I think. He was a tight end originally, and that surprised me. But I
shows you
I kind of share share Luke's opinion. Let's see how this guy goes. He's got some potential, but potential only gets you so far. So if he comes in and he does the work, then I'm pretty sure that the coaches will have him doing what he needs to do. So 2nd round pick. Could we have got somebody else? Well, there wasn't. He was probably a great value pick for where we were picking, given that he was rumoured to have gone earlier. I'm not against the pick, so I'll say exactly the same as Luke. Let's reserve judgment and let's hope that the coaches know what they're doing.
I think one thing just to tag on to the end of everybody's point is that he's apparently I've listened to somebody who interviewed his coach kind of say that like he's a serious guy, but like totally loves football, really, really high character guy, like just the type of guy that you like holds people accountable in the locker room, all that kind of stuff. Like the exact type of guy that you want in your football team. Like you said, like he's absolutely brilliant. And I think even if he just brought some accountability to the team where there didn't seem to be a whole lot of it last year amongst the players, that has value.
Just to piggyback off what you said, Luke, there was something really, really telling about what Keon White said during his press conference when he got drafted, and that was the fact that one of his things that he always did, he always worked hard to be where he wanted to be. And the example that he gave is that whilst he was at college, he was actually being a Domino's delivery driver. He said he said he's not into the glitz and the glamour. He's not into flashy things or anything like that. He's there to just do his job, do his work. That is the epitome of a Bill Belichick type of player.
Yeah.
And as long as he can get his credentials in order regarding of how to play, I think DJ's right. He could be redshirted this year, but it is a 2nd round pick. We'll have to see what happens. But from the way he has portrayed himself, I like the cut of his jib, and I think he will do. I think there's a good chance we may have picked up a gem, but we'll see what happens. We can only find out during preseason, can't we? How good he can possibly be. Right, moving into the 3rd round for the 2nd pick. Marty Mapu, the linebacker, hybrid safety out of Sacramento State. I'm going to be very honest with you right now. I don't know anything about this guy, but from what I've been told by a couple of sources, is that the Patriots are growing more and more to like this FCS linebacker and Senior Bowl standout from Sacramento. The Pats have been clamoring for a new age linebacker with explosive closing burst and coverage upside. It describes Mapu to a T. He is nasty. He has a nasty downhill trigger, and he fires through the line of scrimmage, and he makes forceful contact on ball carries. He's very nimble and sudden enough to make plays in space. but he does need to win with his athleticism because he was engulfed at times at the Senior Bowl by blockers who caught up to him. Nick, what did you think of this one? Because for me, this was a shock because I didn't know who the hell this guy was. And I was thinking we do need to get a receiver here at some point because there were still some very good receivers on the board. And we end up going for someone which, typical Belichick, we know nothing about.
Well, I don't think any of us knew about Kyle Duggar, and look how he's turned out. So, the Patriots do their homework, let's be fair. Now, if I remember correctly, the Patriots were one of the coaching teams at the Senior Bowl. Was that right? I think
Correct.
So, the Patriots coaches got to see Mapu up close. And from what, again, I can only go on what I've heard, apparently he impressed big time. And I think that performance, that sort of turn up, smash it in training, play well, that's what earns you a pick. That's what gets you up the board. And I think he showed the Patriots what he was worth. And the Patriots being on the ground there and then got more from him in that week than they would have done from any scouting combine. So in a way, I kind of understand the pick. We did need some safety cover. So if he's going to play safety, I just mentioned Kyle Duggar. I see him as a very sort of Kyle Duggar style, someone that can play safety, but also can step up and play that role just a little further up. And, if, like with Keon White, you're signing potential. And that's all you're signing right now. It's up to the player to get his head down and prove that you didn't sign a bust. Now, I believe that the Patriots know what they're doing. If they've seen this guy for a week, I think he's impressed. I think they're obviously happy with him. Let's wait and see. But like many people, I knew very little about him other than he had an absolute great Senior Bowl.
Henrik, what do you say to this regarding a Marty Mapu?
Yeah, I think it's a lot about potential here. If he's a third round pick and he can contribute the next couple of seasons, you're gonna be pretty happy about this pick. Just like I am with Kyle Duggar, because I think Kyle Duggar is one of our best players, or he's one of the player with the biggest potential and highest ceiling. So if he's anything like that, that'd be great. All in all, he is a Bill Belichick type of player. He is versatile. He's both a linebacker and a safety. I mean, what more can you ask for if you want versatility? So I think I think Bill Belichick likes him, and he probably knows what he's doing. Mapu is going to contribute, and we'll see what his potential is. Can he be a starter? Can he be an impactful starter? That's the kind of questions I'm having in my head, and I'm hoping he's going to be a bit more of the linebacker sort and a safety, because the fact that he's a safety makes me worried that he's going to replace Duggar, and I don't want Duggar to be replaced. I want him to stay. But yeah, I think it has the potential to be a very good third round pick, and he was Junior Seau's nephew, so he has some football in his DNA. So who knows? I think it's a good pick. We'll see. I'll be surprised if he's very bad. I'll be very surprised about that.
DJ?
Yeah, Mapu, to me, I think he's going to be the surprised pick in this draft for us. I reckon this kid's going to excel. He's like Henrik just said there. He's very versatile, and he's a very Bill Belichick player, as in the sense of he can play different positions when needed and cover, given that extra depth. Not only Duggar, but I see him more of a Peppers player, type of player where he's that safety, fast, can slot into a middle linebacker position as well. So yeah, I think he might get a bit more productive level than White for me. I think Mapu's going to be a bit of more of a need than what White it is. But yeah, I generally do like the pick. Again, he's another player who probably wouldn't have gone in the third round. You could have maybe picked him up on the fourth or the fifth. Again, it's a Belichick reach, but we all know that if Belichick loves a player, he'll just go for it. So this is that type of player, I think.
Luke, what about you?
I think, like DJ was saying, I think he was projected to be a 5th/6th rounder. Hopefully, again, kind of overdrafted really, and reached. This is where he kind of Belichick kind of departed from his first 2 picks, which were on form, we'll say, or consensus picks. For Mapu, from everything I've heard from him, it seems to be positive. He is. I think a lot of the safety talk is that is because of his size. He's 6'3", 215. He's lean, but he's a linebacker. He's not a safety. He's a linebacker that can cover, not a safety that can cover, if you know what I mean. He's not got safety coverage skills. He's got linebacker coverage skills. So he's not a downhill kind of linebacker. But he's not going to be sideline to sideline. But he could be quick to the line. And if you watch a bit of his tape, he is very quick at identifying plays and very quick at getting down and stopping at the point of attack. He does, however, and I think Nick, you alluded to it earlier, he's 215. He gets swallowed up by guards. Guards are just going to pancake him with that size. He's the way I'd almost kind of liken him to is kind of Jamal Adams when they found out when he went to Seattle and they realized that he couldn't cover anybody. He's that kind of weapon that you could kind of stick. You could stick him in the middle of the field to do a bit of cover, a bit of zone coverage in the middle, or you can have him playing the run. You don't want him turning with his back to the play and trying to cover somebody running away from the line of scrimmage. But look, I think the player comp we have on the roster is Mac Wilson. That's who him and Raekwon McMillan. This is who he's been brought in to replace.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there regarding of that. Look, let's see how Marty gets on. You're right. He does need to boost his athleticism a little bit more because the NFL is a completely different ball game compared to the NCAA. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Right. So we've gone through the first 3 rounds. Usually from the 4th round onwards, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. So we're just going to go around the horn and we are going to pick a player that got drafted to us that you think has got very, very high upside or you have some serious doubts about. So, Nick, we're going to start with you. So from round 4 all the way down to undrafted, what took your fancy regarding who we picked?
I'm not going to necessarily, despite what you just said, I'm not necessarily going to pick a player, but I'm going to pick a scenario that we ended up doing, which was we picked both a kicker and a punter. I am not going to criticize that decision because that was a need that we had, and we got probably maybe the second best kicker in the class, maybe the first, depending on how you want to argue it. But
yeah,
we needed that position, and we needed a punter. I am not. What is the point in taking somebody who's not going to work out. If you've got a draft pick and there's somebody there that you need, the draft these days is a need over best available. We saw that in the first round from other teams taking players that are higher than you thought they were going to go. You know, the two running backs in round one's a prime example. I think picking one of the best kickers in the class and one of the best punters in the class, I can't criticise that. And so I think if anybody here wants to criticise that, come and see me.
I'm not going to criticise you at all.
I will say one thing though about the punting situation. I think someone, was it a punter or a kicker? I can't remember. Someone took I reckon the player that we wanted, which was the best kicker.
Jake Moody.
Was it Mooney? Mooney.
Yes. He went to the 49ers.
In the third round.
And I felt Belichick then knew he had to go for the next available kicker.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's the only downfall that I felt that happened there.
Well, Chad Ryland out of Maryland, he has a huge leg. He hit over 60% of his kicks from 50-plus yards. He is a kickoff specialist as well. And as you already said, he also has an experience in kicking in bad weather. Maryland, it's Baltimore. It's not that good weather. So, yeah, if you want, you can take this as an indictment. But I think Ryland is a very good pick we had. But I think once Jake Moody come off the board, I do understand your point there. I wanted Jake Moody all day long because he's a Michigan Wolverine. That's why I wanted him. So call me a masochist all you want. DJ, who is your unsung pick in the latter rounds?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, like Nick's just said as well. I'm just gonna go over a couple of players where I thought that what the strategy we took. So guard on the fourth, again, is just to cover up, to have that extra depth. Then kicker, O-line, punter, wide receiver Douglas, cornerback Speed, and Isaiah Bolden. To me, they're all special. They're all going to be special teams. So I think we're just going to basically slot them into there, see if they've got any potential later on down the line, to see if they can play in those prospective positions that they got picked. But I'd say round 6, so it's Keishon Booty from LSU. I am quite intrigued to see what this lad can do. I've seen what he can do, or saw his film and that. Very versatile, very tall. So I am very thinking what Matt can do with this lad. I don't expect him to be a wide receiver 1. That's not the intention I think I've got in him. I think we're giving him a year or 2. He could then turn into a decent wide receiver. He is my surprise pick, I think, as well. Yeah,
he is for me as well. I think Keishon Boutte is the equivalent of a boom or bust prospect. You know, he has a very good. He had a dicey finish to his collegiate career. His combine wasn't that great. He ran a 4.5 in the 40, so it pushed him down the board. But he has legitimate NFL upside. He has great sudden movement to uncover and the ability to churn out yards after the catch in bunches. I think he averaged 6.4 yards a kick per catch. His first 2 seasons in Baton Rouge, it put him on the map as an NFL prospect. And if the Pats get that version of Boutte, that's a steal. Yeah. It's a steal, and it's a perfect day 3 filler. You want to know my pro comparison of Boutte? Jarvis Landry.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome.
If he gets the upside, that we've seen him in the first 2 seasons at LSU, then we've got ourselves a baller. Luke, what about you? What was your unsung pick?
So I was going to go positive with Boutte or Booty.
Booty.
No, you can't say Booty because there is a NCAA quarterback called General Booty, so you can't say that.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, it just depends how you pronounce it, I suppose. thing that I suppose, concerned about with the draft picks is that we took so many interior offensive linemen. Like, did we need to take that many? You know, at our starting interior last year, we had Cole Strange, first round pick. You have David Andrews, who is going to turn 31 in July. So veteran, but not old by any stretch of the imagination, especially for a center. Centers can play for a long time. And then you have Mike Onwenu. Now, I think by taking a few of these guys, you're kind of saying Onwenu's probably out the door at the end of this year.
He's in a contract year.
He's in a
contract
contract.
year.
It's his last year, and so same with Brown as well. Brown on the edges. He's in his last year. So, you know,
I say we need to keep Mike.
I think you
pay him.
I just think
he's well deserved it, man. Whoever says he hasn't,
he deserves to be paid, just not by us. We need to have not invest resources in guards. Like, just going back to it, right? We started off. We drafted Jake Andrews, who you think at that level is the heir apparent to David Andrews, but David Andrews doesn't show any signs of finishing at the moment. Anyway, we got Sidi Sow, who is a guard who apparently can play tackle. Okay, so that's maybe your Mike Onwenu replacement for next season. Fair enough. Was fine with that. And then the next pick is Antonio Maffei, another guard. And you already invested a 6th round pick last year in what's his face? Jason Hines. So now I don't think maybe it's just an indictment in Jason Hines saying he's out the door, but you really have Andrews and Strange already there. So why did you need Andrews, Sow, Maffei to replace Onwenu? You've basically picked, because assuming Andrews, yes, he's a center, but most centers and guards can do all three. Can play left or at least left guard and center, or right guard and center. Why did we need 3 interior offensive linemen to replace one when we actually already had 1 or 2 backups on the roster already? I felt like we needed more outside help. Tackle was where we should have gone. But to be fair as well, if there was nobody there, there's nobody there. But why? Especially because you took Cole Strange last year. Unless you're saying Cole Strange is kind of crap, which he kind of was last year. I mean,
I wonder if that has anything to do with a new scheme that this new offensive line coach wants to implement. This is why he wants. But does he intend to play them in rotation like the whole game?
But offensive line, you should never rotate. Any good offensive line never gets rotated. And there was that one year where we had Dave Guglielmo, and he did rotate the offensive line, and it kind of worked. And that is probably the one exception in the history of football for one season where we rotated offensive linemen. It worked. Yeah. I think it was more by accident that it worked rather than through divine inspiration or anything like that, because every offensive line player and coach will tell you that rotating players, it's about knowing the guy next to you and what he does. And Nick,
I don't think Strange had a bad year. I think it's probably slightly unfair on him. He had the same issue with the. Essentially, they all had the same issue in that they didn't have a proper coordinator. But I wouldn't say that Strange's year was bad. I think he's got progress to make, yes, but this is his second year. Let's see him make that progress. So I think probably a little harsh, but let's see.
The way I put it, he got benched in 3 games.
Yeah. An O-line man starter should never get benched. So that was not a good sign. I agree. It wasn't a terrible season by him, but it wasn't a great first year for Cole.
Exactly.
Strange.
Yeah.
But he should be playing every snap without question.
Coming from Chattanooga Mocs and slotting into the NFL into a top tier offensive line group. Okay, he did get benched the first 3 games, or he got taken subbed, but after that, I don't think he did that bad for a
It
rookie
wasn't the
season.
first 3 games. It was over the course of the season.
Yeah,
And
and
he got a bit better, but it's like I don't care where he came from. It doesn't really matter. He
Yeah.
was picked as a first round
Yeah,
pick.
yeah.
If he wasn't that good, which
Yeah.
coming out, he was supposed to be a 3rd or a 4th round pick, which is where we should have picked. If that's where he was picked, fine with a guy getting benched and picked. He's a 3rd or 4th round pick.
that
It's
would have
fine.
been a
It's no
great
problem.
season.
He's a
Great
first
season.
round pick. He should have been playing every single down or every single snap, and he should have been out there dominating and have been clearly one of the our best offensive linemen as a first round pick.
Yeah.
I think
think
also the question I've asked myself is,
I won't listen to any rebuttals.
Okay, Henry.
Apologies, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Henry.
All
All
right.
right.
See you later,
Cheers, Luke.
Catch you
See you
later.
soon.
Take care,
bye.
Luke.
See you later.
I
Um,
think,
here,
sorry,
'cause I
just a quick one as well. I think the other question I had to ask and raise was, during this draft, did we do enough to help Mac Jones succeed as a QB, elite QB that we want him to be? Because I don't think, one, we didn't get him any proper weapons. I reckon we could have gone wide receiver way before getting a punter and a kicker. That's my view. Okay, we did get Booty, but no
And,
tight ends as well. Where there was
and
tight ends on the board we could have got. I just don't know.
yeah. I was going to say we should have drafted a tight end. That was kind of what I was hoping for in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds. So it was just,
Washington was there in the 3rd round as well.
Yeah.
He was who I wanted. Why not get the
exactly.
second coming? Why not get the second coming of Gronk?
Yeah, why not take a chance is what I was thinking, because if he's going to be a productive tight end in this league, I feel we missed a chance.
But I think we blew that. Well, I think we blew that one when we got Mike Gesicki in free agency.
Of course, but we could have. He's on a 1-year contract. Same with Hunter Henry. They're both 27 and 31 or something. Why not draft a young one now that we can develop and mold and who can learn from these 2 good tight ends? So that's the one thing I'll agree with you, DJ. In the question, did we help Mac Jones enough? No, to me, yeah, I would like more better receivers. I would like that. I would have liked that in the draft or the free agency. But you know what? Mac Jones has enough to succeed, in my opinion. I'm not saying he has enough to lead the Patriots to the Super Bowl. No, that's not what I'm saying. But he has enough. He has good players. None of them are great, but they're all good. Last year, he was screwed by Bill Belichick for not having a real offensive coordinator, for not having a real quarterbacks coach. Nobody could have succeeded in difficult for anyone to succeed in those circumstances. But there were times where we just like Mac Jones just underperformed. A quarterback has to make the most out of what he got. And I felt at times Mac Jones didn't do that. Next season, he'll have one of the best offensive coordinator. I think that's going to make a huge difference. I think he has enough. I think what's his name? Juju Smith-Schuster, alongside with an injury-free Devontae Parker and perhaps a resurgent Kendrick Bourne, and we'll see about Tyquan Thornton. In addition to Mike Gesicki and Hunter Henry, I think that's enough for him to have a good season, to show that he can be more than just an NFL quarterback. He can be a good NFL quarterback, and if he shows that, which I think he will, I'll talk more about this later. We get him a real receiver, like a number 1 receiver next year, when he's proven that he can actually handle a Jerry Jeudy or a Debo Samuel or a DK Metcalf, someone like that. That's so he needs to show that he actually can take care of a number 1 target like that. So. And I'll just say one more thing, because about the 6th round pick, Demario Douglas. I liked him. I liked him a lot. He's I'm happy with him being redshirted and contributing next year or the year after that. So I think he's a small receiver, slot receiver. If you look at his tapes and his stats from college, he improved every season. So that makes me a bit hopeful about him, as much as I am about by Boutte as well. I don't know if you caught any of that, DJ, but I think Mac has enough to succeed.
Cool.
And I love Mac Jones.
I'd probably say no, because I kind of think you have Mike Gesicki, who is basically a carbon copy of Hunter Henry, even though Gesicki is slightly less injury prone than Hunter Henry is. And the only receiver you add is Juju Smith-Schuster, who is by no means a number one receiver, unless we were relying on Devontae Parker, which when Devontae was on the field for us, he was absolutely fantastic for us. But it's injury history again. So now we're relying on Devontae Parker to stay healthy. We're relying on Juju Smith-Schuster to have the same sort of production he had at Kansas City. We're relying on Kendrick Bourne to actually come back and have a breakout season than when he had 2 years ago when he first arrived for New England. None of this bullshit of, pardon my language, none of this crap regarding of in the doghouse because of Matt Patricia didn't like him to do this, that, and the other. That ain't going to happen because Bill O'Brien won't tolerate that. I still think the weapons are the same, but what is making me a little bit more confident is we've now got an offensive coordinator in the name of Bill O'Brien who knows what the hell he is doing. Forget Bill O'Brien when he was coach for the Texans and GM for the Texans, because it went well and then it didn't went well. When he was offensive coordinator for New England in 2011, him and Brady had his disagreements. We can all agree with that. He had his disagreements with Brady sometimes. It was spats on the field. But what he got that offense humming. And considering we went 8-9 last season with the second best defense in the NFL, with a poor game plan, which was so bland and so original. I personally think New England can get over 10 wins this season. We have a proper OC who knows what the hell he's doing. Remember, you average 24 points in an NFL game on offense, you should win a good chunk of your games. But we'll have to see.
It all depends on the Juju we get. If we get the Juju wide receiver 1, that we know that it was from Steelers, then we'll be laughing. And then Bourne, I reckon Bourne wasn't given enough chances last year, to be honest, but
no, I don't think he was
fit
either.
Into the plan, in Patricia's plan. So hopefully this year he'll be thinking. Then if Parker is Parker, then fair enough. What happened to that other lad that Mac used to play with in Alabama that got injured last year? Was projected to go. I didn't think he projected to go in the draft, but we picked him up as a wide receiver late last season, I believe. His name is also Bolden, isn't it? Wide receiver.
I believe he actually had not an injury. I believe he had a bit of a diagnosis. I think it was something a real massive health scare. I think it was. Not quite 100% sure what it was about.
His name is Bolden as well.
Yeah, his name is Bolden as
connection with him. Yeah. But
yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. Right, okay. Let's move into the schedule, so because the schedule got released. Let me just. That's wrong. Let me just go and bring up the share screen so everyone can see. Hopefully, you can all. Can we all see it?
Yeah.
Can we all see it? It's the only one. It's the only one really I've got, which gives us the full detailing of all the days of when we play in this, that, and the other. Because all the rest are just giving us who we're playing and no dates and that. So the first game back on the 9th of September. Oh, trial by fire at home to the runners-up of the Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be a hard one. So Christian Gonzalez's first task of his career is to go and mark AJ Brown. So we look at that. See, home to Philadelphia. or Devontae Smith. That's probably Jack Jones's job, probably. Then we're at home to Miami. Then back-to-back games at the Jets. Yes, we are facing Aaron Rodgers, which I can't be too. To be honest, a lot of people say, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets is going to be so good. They're going to take him to the echelon." Newsflash, guys: he's won one Super Bowl in his last 12 years, and he's 0-5 in conference championships.
And
the coup de grace, he is basically all he basically is nowadays is Pat McAfee's propaganda mouthpiece. So,
but more important,
hashtag just saying, okay?
Yeah, well, I was gonna add to that. More importantly, it's the Jets. After all, it takes more than a miracle to make them into a winning team. But yeah, good for Rodgers, good for the Jets. They're gonna be good, but I don't see them. I don't see the New York Jets going to a Super Bowl. That's kind of impossible because they're the Jets.
Hang on, I don't know what the freaking hell's happened here.
Can you not hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you. I'm just trying to excuse me while I sort this
The banner.
crap out. Right, there we go.
Yeah.
Right,
Much
I don't
better.
know what's
Much better. But yeah.
Right. Okay. So then at the Jets, then at the Cowboys, at the Dallas Cowboys. That's going to be a real tough one to do. And at home to the Saints, that will be an interesting one because I think the Saints are going to have Derek Carr. I don't know what they're going to come up with. Then we're back in Vegas against the Las Vegas Raiders. We face our two old adversaries actually, Jacoby Myers, who basically cost us our chance of going to the playoffs. And porn star Jimmy is now under center for the Vegas Raiders, not Derek Carr anymore. So that's going to be interesting. Then home to Buffalo. We know what Buffalo are capable of. Then at Miami, end of October, still in Miami. That I've always predicted Dan we'd lose at Miami anyway.
Miami,
yeah. Home to Washington, and then on Sunday we have. Well, on Sunday, the 12th of November, it is the game in Frankfurt in Germany against the Indianapolis Colts. We'll get a bit more into that after we've gone through the schedule. At the Giants, then after the bye week, then at home to the Chargers, at the Steelers, trial by fire against Kansas City. And then we go all the way up into the hills to face Denver and the altitude. And then we're at Buffalo and then at home to the New York Jets. But that's to be decided on the actual time frame. Now, that's the schedule that we got. I'm not going to ask you about predictions because I still think there is a long, long way to go yet before we need to see how our rookies get on. And then we make our final judgment towards the start of the season. But guys, just briefly, that schedule, apparently I saw something on Twitter the other day that the Patriots have got the fourth hardest schedule in the NFL this season. By looking at that looks daunting to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first 4 games we could potentially be looking at 0-4 there.
Well, yeah, but I realistically speaking, it's probably going to be we're probably going to win 2 of those games. It's I think the Patriots. I'm not predicting the records yet, but I'm pretty sure the Patriots are going to be just middle of the road like last year, unless well, they might be better. But I think it's going to be a quality middle of the road team. I don't think we're going to blow out many teams. I don't think we're going to get blown up, neither by Philadelphia or the Jets. I don't think KC is going to blow us out. Although they should blow us out. But
Nick, what about you?
Last year I was the optimist, saying I reckon we could open going 3-1, mate. But I'd take 2-2, and I think we did go 1-3. So you don't want to lose to the Jets, do you? So that's got to be one win, surely. 2 wins across the season. Miami at home, it's a coin flip, I think. It's early enough in the season. The problem with early in the season is the Patriots always use the early season as just an extended preseason. It's usually October before we start, get any traction and get going. I look at what happened with the Raiders at the Raiders game last year. That was a shocking finish, but that was just player error. Better offense, I think that's a winnable game. There are some good winnable games there. I think I think we've got to be confident in saying there's at least 8 wins in there. Maybe up to 11, possibly, but that's being ambitious. So, I think we've just got to sit. We've ultimately got to just start to turn this corner that we need to turn, and slow but steady improvements. I think that's what we need to see.
Nick, James has just put it there. When do we win the next Super Bowl? 5 years, 6 years.
I'll counter that. How long is it going to take before you actually make an NFC championship?
Yeah, you got to win the playoff games. That's the question. When are we going to win our next playoff game? I was looking at the schedule, and I thought, realistically speaking, we're probably going 9-8, but we have the potential to be 11-6 and get into the playoffs. I think we can win the playoff game. I do think if we actually get in this year, I think this year or next year we're going to win a playoff game. I have to believe that. I think last year was just the most boring season I've ever watched as a Patriots fan. But winning the Super Bowl, I imagine in my head every year that we can win the Super Bowl. So there is a scenario where we actually win the Super Bowl this year with Mac Jones.
What bubble do you live in?
Yeah, I would say I have the ability to imagine myself, but
what drugs they smoke in Norway? Yo?
only the worst you can get available. That's how it is in this cold freaking country. But no, we're not gonna go. We're not gonna. It's too early. Super Bowl. We're not a team that can discuss Super Bowl. That's just the reality. We're not that team. We need a quarterback.
I should be thinking of the high standards that we have because we've won 6 Super Bowls that we should go and win the Super Bowl. But you also have to be realistic on the situation. But I will say this: the clock is ticking, not just on Bill Belichick, but on Mac Jones as well. Because if Belichick doesn't come through with this, how long is it going to be before the fan base start turning on him? And how long will it be before the fan base start turning on Mac Jones? Because if Jones doesn't put up the sort of numbers that he did in his rookie season, we may be going back to square one again.
Yeah.
And that could be a massive... And you can forget Bailey Zappi. There was one player that we forgot to mention.
Cunningham.
Malik Cunningham,
undrafted player,
be such a dark horse.
out of Kentucky. And people have already named him Lamar Jackson 2.0 due to his style.
Right. But yeah, I agree. It's what I was going to say. It's with the Patriots. We have won 6 Super Bowls. But the man was named Tom Brady. He's a hero. He's a real American hero. That's why you get to think about Super Bowls when you have that kind of player and quarterback. What 6 Super Bowls and Bill Belichick grants us is competitiveness. The Patriots are going to be competitive. They might go 5-12, but you better believe that it's going to be a close and quality 5-12 team. That was a bit of an exaggeration, but what I'm saying is the Patriots are going to be able to compete with teams. They're just not gonna be that championship team, unfortunately, unless a few things happen.
Unless a few things happen, they need to happen. Because I don't know how much time Belichick or Mac Jones will have left if it all goes belly up this season. Despite the fact it is a hard schedule, but we need to see. Right, one last thing before we get on out of here. So we already know that the NFL games have all been confirmed in London and in Germany. So in London, you have got the Jaguars hosting a home game at Wembley. They will be taking on the Atlanta Falcons. They will also have an away game against the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills concede a home game, and they'll be playing at the St. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And the other game is between the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens, which actually, on paper, that actually looks quite a tasty matchup, to be fair. But regarding all the Germany games, we knew New England were going to be playing at some point, whether it was this year or it'll be next year. The NFL have granted 2 games in Germany, and New England will be playing in Frankfurt against the Colts on the 12th of November. And first of all, Henrik, first of all, we were a little bit gutted that you can't make it with us because, as we said, we wanted the whole entire crew to be there for the first time ever. So it's a real shame. But the likes of me, Nick, DJ, Luke, Ollie as well, who is also part of the cast, we will be headed over there. Everything's all paid up for, apart from the game ticket itself. We're all praying and hoping that we can get game tickets, even if it is going to cost a second mortgage to get them. But I don't
think it'll be that expensive.
Well, if you pre-sale it, if you get it pre-sale, then you might be able to be all right.
I reckon about €100.
Now if anybody saw last year, because the Buccaneers played the Seahawks in Munich, you would have seen the atmosphere that the Germans put on, and it was a sight to behold. To experience that in Frankfurt would be absolutely ridiculous.
They could have sold the Allianz Arena 4 times over, and the stadium in Frankfurt is half the size or 2/3 the size.
It's 51,000. It's the home of Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. It's a smaller stadium. The last time I've seen a small stadium that small was basically when the Chargers went to LA Galaxy Stadium while they were paying the Rams to use their Metal Gear. So it'll be interesting, and tickets are going to be very, very spare. But you have to get in there. We're going to have to get in there extremely quickly. Henrik, have you actually ever been to Germany before?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to Frankfurt.
What can you tell us about this fabulous country?
Well, I can't tell you that much because I was 10 and 15 years old, but Germans are very nice people. They're very nice people, and it's I was in Stuttgart as a grown-up, and it was during the summer. Everything was so clean, and I don't know if you ever think about it like that, but Germany has a lot of beautiful nature. They got a lot of nice forests and trees. So I like Germany, and I like the people a lot, even though they are a bit too logical for my taste. Just how I experience them, but you will enjoy Germany, and I know you guys will have a great time, and you will have an extra great time on behalf of me.
We sure will. Nick, DJ, have you been to Germany before?
No, never.
Go on, DJ.
No, I've not been to Germany before. I was saying on another podcast that me and Luke were on that I've been to see the Patriots 3 times, and unfortunately they've lost every single time, so I've not seen a Patriot winning.
Oh, you better not be the curse. You better not be the curse.
I'm holding you accountable if anything happens.
Kick me out.
It is only the glue factory we are playing, so it's
with Richardson.
It's a rookie QB. Belichick eats rookie QB for breakfast. So yeah, just saying. All right. Yeah. So we are all heading to Frankfurt, and it's going to be absolutely crazy. It's going to be carnage. We are Hopefully we can get tickets. If not, then we are just going to find a bar and watch it. I'd like to speak to DJ and Nick off camera quickly as well regarding of something that we could maybe prioritize do, because I've seen this happen in London over the years where the opposing home or away teams, they've set up a hub the day before the game, sort of like a meetup point for the actual fan base and so on. So we need to try and arrange something maybe for that possibly. But yeah, guys, just before we get on out of here, our draft, what grade would you give it? Obviously, A being absolutely amazing to F being absolutely shocking. Nick, what would your grade be for the entire draft class for the Pats this season?
B minus.
DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same. B minus, C.
Henrik?
B plus. I think it was a good draft.
And I'll probably say a B minus as well. A lot of guards, not sure why, but hey ho. Right, we're getting on out of it, guys. That is the end of our show. Thank you to Nick.
Hang on. Henrik's got an announcement.
Got the mic.
Oh yeah, sorry, Henrik.
No worries. Thank you.
I believe you have a little bit of an announcement. To make.
Thank you, guys. Moving on, I'm probably not going to be part of the show that much. There's some changes in life and in my career, which I just know is going to take up all my time. And I just wanted to let you guys know that. And I'm having an awesome time every time I'm discussing football and the Patriots with you guys. I'd like to do it more, of course. So it's been a great time talking to you guys. And I'll say this: keep your hopes up when it comes to Mac Jones. Have faith in him. I think there's a chance he's gonna make a breakthrough this year, and you'll be very sorry if you weren't on the train early on. So keep the faith in Mac Jones. I love it. It's a beautiful jersey, Carl. You should give it to me as a parting gift. I'd accept that. That's okay for me. I like Mac Jones. I'm just joking.
Do you fit in the size medium?
I'll figure it out because it's Mac Jones. He's gonna be good. Anyways, thank you, and keep faith in Mac Jones. I really think he's going to be a good quarterback. I hope so.
Henrik, you've been a breath of fresh air to the podcast, mate, and hopefully we do speak to you and see you very, very soon. Okay, we will hopefully have to try and get you back on at some point. Well,
thanks.
That's on that rather sad note, we're going to get on out of it, guys. So thank you to Henrik for the final time. Thank you to Nick. Thank you to DJ. Thank you to Luke, who had to depart for his other show based in Ireland somewhere. I don't know what it is he's trying to do. You can find us on Facebook, The Patriots Touchback. You can find us on Twitter at Patriots Touchback, and you can find us on our YouTube channel. Please make sure you are smashing the like button. You are hitting the subscribe button while you are at it. Let's just say last season was a little bit of a mismatch trying to get the podcast together, and that this coming season, there will be no miss-ups. There will be no episodes that we will miss, no reactions, no previews that we will miss. This is a first full season. And remember, we will be in Germany. So please be careful when we do a podcast, maybe all of us in the same room at one time. It could be absolute chaos. But thank you to me. My name is Carl from KB Sports. That's Nick. That's DJ. Down below me is Henrik. We are getting on out of here. Thank you to everyone for watching. Please make sure you are liking the video, subscribe to the channel. You are following us on social media platforms. And please make sure you follow us on our podcast as well on iTunes and Spotify. Season is about a couple of months away, and we'll be gearing up and ready to go very, very soon. Go Patriots.